Welcome to my unboxing and first look at the ASUS Xonar Essence STX. Now, I talk about sound cards a lot, and people ask me for sound card recommendations a lot. And, you know, there's sort of lower end ones. The whole Xonar line actually is just kind of awesome. So whatever your price range is, just buy a Xonar and you'll be fine. But this one is like the baller Xonar. This is the Xonar with all the features that you need, especially if you use headphones. So 124 decibel sound to noise ratio, which is just ridiculous. I mean, remember that decibels are essentially a doubling of in terms of sound to noise ratio, it's a doubling of quality every time you go up 3 decibels, okay? So remember that. So when you see something that's 110 decibel sound to noise ratio, that is like many times worse than this, okay? It has swappable op amps, which means you can actually customize the sound of it according to your liking. So if you don't know what op amps are, those are the components on the board that actually do the amplification for the card. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start opening this up. The reason I'm opening this is because we're using it in like an ultimate system build guide. So if I was picking an ultimate sound card, for me personally, this is the one that I would choose. Let's have a look at what ASUS has to say for themselves on the box here anyway though. So industry leading, okay, with basically no distortion. Built-in headphone amp provides exceptional quality even with 600 ohms of impedance. Remember guys, for context, a Sennheiser HD 800 is 600 ohms of impedance. So we're talking like spending well over $1,000 on headphones before you're gonna run into the limits of what this can drive. Okay? Nikon fine gold capacitors offer great dynamic performance. It uses audio capacitors, which are actually different from the kinds of capacitors that some competing products are using on sound products, whether it's built into a motherboard or whether it's built into a sound card, where they're more like motherboard capacitors. Different capacitors will affect the way the sound comes out of the analog signal. Like, remember guys, okay, any of the music you're listening to is inherently digital. Any of the sound you listen to is inherently analog. So the process of converting that digital signal to an analog sound is extremely complicated and depends on every aspect of the design of the card. So everything from the processor to the DAC, so that's the digital to analog converter, everything to the do they have anything on here about the Emi Shielding? Okay, well, Emi Shielding to keep just random interference that's bouncing around inside your PC from affecting any part of that process to the op amps as well. Everything affects the process. So, okay, moving right along. Perfectly shielded, EMI free. Okay, there it is. Customize your sound card effortlessly with swappable op amp sockets. You can just buy them online. It's not a big deal. Okay, in terms of driver features, Dolby Digital Live, Dolby Headphone, Dolby Virtual Speaker, Dolby Pro Logic 2, Direct Sound 3D, Vocal FX, Smart Volume, Acoustic Echo, Acoustic Echo cancellation, that's kind of neat. Okay, and let's go ahead and check out the card itself. So they have like an awesome picture of the card, which we'll use to help us through the process. Oh yeah. So guys, if you don't know, I'm running an ASUS what am I running? I'm running a Xonar Zents, which is a similar card to this one, but actually not quite as good. If I was going to pick my ultimate sound card, this one would be it. So in terms of I/O, you've got stereo outputs, so front right, front left. This is if you're using an external amplifier, so for amplified speakers or something like that. Then you've got your amped headphone jack, your line in, and your SPDIF, this is your digital out. So this is a headphone lover's sound card. This is not for, 7.1 or, whatever sort of things that people think are fancy. This is for audiophiles who are interested in stereo speakers, high quality output to stereo speakers, or high quality output to headphones. It does have front panel jacks, so you can still plug in your front panel headphone jack and microphone jack, but honestly guys, if you're not using these ports, you're doing it wrong with a sound card like this. Has a dedicated Molex power adapter, or connector rather, and that is because this card actually does draw some power in order to deliver that punchy sound at a moment's notice. It also has some very large caps going on, which is going to help with that as well. You can see that while this sort of shield on here, this EMI shield, looks like it has gaps in it. There's only very small gaps. So from the inside of the case, there's almost no way for any kind of interference to get in there. You can see it's actually blocked. There's a copper piece that's right in there that makes it so that nothing can really sort of get in there. It uses PCI, or rather PCI Express 1X connectivity. Remember guys, that can be plugged into any PCI Express slot, whether it's 1X, 4X, 8X, or 16X, PCIe 1, PCIe 2, PCIe 3. All of those standards are basically interchangeable for the purposes of something like a sound card. Here's an adapter, so you can take those analog outputs and you can run them to just sort of a regular stereo jack. Okay, here's an adapter for this, so you can run smaller jack headphones or microphone off of this. All right, and then there is, oh, awesome! I actually didn't realize this, but this coax jack right here is actually optical as well. So you just use the included adapter and you can get an, you can do optical audio out from there too. All right, included documentation, audio precision test report. Your individual sound card was actually tested, and this was printed out from your sound card. So this will give you the full characteristics of your card, this card that's in the box, as opposed to being some kind of generic, you know how a lot of high-end products come with like a certificate of performance or something like that, that actually has no basis on this thing, this physical object that's in the box? Not how it works with an Essence STX. This is a serious sound card. Alright, we got a thing about the philosophy of something in a picture of the card. Okay, that I'm less interested in, moving right along. We've got ASUS's driver disc. Don't use this, download the latest off the ASUS website. They're excellent. Also, there's a third-party universal driver for Xonar cards that actually has a couple of extra features, so that's kind of cool. Here's a sticker that you could put on something. Okay. Here's a quick start guide. Here's a, wow, there's a lot of documentation in here, Slick. There's another quick start guide. There's two quick start guides. Are these the same thing? Oh no, they have different part numbers on them. Okay. And then there's like another poster. They have two posters included. Yep. Okay. All right. Cool. I think that pretty much covers it. So if you're looking for a sound card recommendation, my general recommendation is some kind of Xonar card. If you're looking for a specific recommendation, I would take this one personally. I'm more of a headphone guy. I don't use surround, so that's the context of that recommendation from me. But let's just see if we're missing anything here. Hyper grounding circuitry design, okay. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned, but it uses a Burr Brown PCM 1792A digital analog converter. So that's part of achieving that 124 decibel single noise ratio. This one can do even better than that. Swappable Op Amps, perfectly sealed analog output path with all that shielding and all of that good stuff. And I think that pretty much covers it. Thank you for checking out my unboxing and first look at the Xonar Essence STX from ASUS. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other computer videos.